Today, we're talking about Advanced Micro Devices Incorporated, NASDAQ, AMD, the underdog turned contender in the Silicon Wars. Shares on the move, up 14% after Q1 results. The first quarter plot twist. Imagine you're watching a heist movie. Everything seems to be going wrong. Security cameras are everywhere, lasers zigzag across the vault, and the alarm system's code has changed 3 times. Then, out of nowhere, the protagonist pulls off a jaw-dropping escape, securing every last diamond. That's what AMD's first quarter 2024, Q1 2024, results felt like to investors. Revenue beat. AMD reported $5.69 billion in revenues for Q1, easily topping the $5.3 billion consensus estimate on Wall Street. EPS surprise. Earnings per share came in at $1.04, compared to an estimate of 97 cents. Those extra 7 pennies on a huge share count added up to hundreds of millions of incremental profit. Data center strength. AMD's server CPU line, EPYC, saw double-digit growth, cementing its status as a credible rival to Intel in the cloud and enterprise space. So on the day AMD reported, the stock popped plus 8% intraday. But the real magic happened throughout the month, as investors realized this was no fluke quarter. It was a continuation of multiple years of share gains and a strong performance across the board. By month's end, AMD shares had climbed from around $135 to $154, a 14% increase that left many bulls cheering and bears scrambling for cover. Why 14% matters? A 14% one-month gain for a large-cap stock like AMD, market cap pushing $200+ billion, is like shoving a giant cruise ship into warp speed. It signals that the market believes this beat is sustainable, not just a one-off. Institutional funds, mutual funds, hedge funds, likely rotated more capital into AMD, driving the price upward. Momentum traders hopped on the train, pushing it even faster, until it looked like a bullet train through downtown Tokyo. Consider the S&P 500 during that same month. It was flat to slightly negative, hovering around plus 1% at best. So for AMD to outpace the market by more than 12 percentage points is akin to outperforming Usain Bolt in a 100-meter sprint. Impressive stuff. Client revenue explodes, plus 68% YOY, 5th straight quarter of share gains. The client, consumer, and commercial PC business. When most folks think AMD, they picture Ryzen gaming PCs or the slick little laptops sporting AMD's Radeon graphics chips. That's AMD's client segment, the business that supplies processor and GPU combos to laptop makers, HP, Dell, Lenovo, and sells chips directly to DIY PC builders. In Q1 2024, client revenue jumped 68% year-over-year, from about $1.7 billion in Q1 2023 to $2.86 billion in Q1 2024. That's like going from selling 1 million artisanal donuts to selling 1.68 million in 12 months. What fueled such a skyrocket? High-end Ryzen demand. AMD's Zen 4 architecture, Ryzen 7000 series, launched in late 2022 and continued to gain traction in Q1 2024. Gamers, content creators, and productivity users snapped up 6-core, 8-core, even 16-core CPUs because they offered better performance per dollar than Intel's equivalent. Laptop market revival. After a pandemic lull, laptop refresh cycles kicked into overdrive as workers returned to offices but still wanted gaming rigs and ultrabooks. AMD had a whole slate of Ryzen 7000 mobile chips and premium laptops from Asus, Razer, and others, driving units. OEM partnerships. Dell's Alienware, HP's Omen, and Lenovo's Legion lines started touting "Powered by AMD" on their billboards and product pages. That marketing muscle helped AMD grab share from Intel. By the way, if you are benefiting from the content so far and want more like this, like the video, it means much to me. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications bell, and comment the word "more." Just go ahead and type the word "more" so I know. Now that you have commented, let's continue. 5 consecutive quarters of share gains. If you look at global desktop CPU shipments, Courtesy of surveys by Mercury Research and TrendForce, AMD's share has climbed from 20% to 25% to 30% over the past 2 years, all thanks to Ryzen winning benchmarks and consumer trust. Q1 2024 marked AMD's fifth straight quarter of share gains in the client space. No small feat when Intel historically held 80% of the market for decades. Q1 2023, AMD client share 30% versus Intel's 70%. Q1 2024, AMD client share 35%, Intel down to 65%. This means that for every 100 desktop or laptop systems sold, 35 now have an AMD chip instead of Intel. That's like nearly 1 in 3 cars on the road now sporting a brake model that used to be in only high-performance vehicles. Picture this: Intel is the Americano, dependable, straightforward, everyone's had it. AMD's Ryzen is the ethically sourced, cold brew nitro latte, new, exciting, and promises a bigger caffeine kick performance. 5 quarters ago, 20 out of 100 coffee shops were selling the cold brew latte. Now, it's 35 out of 100, because customers are willing to pay a premium for that extra jolt. AMD rode that cold brew trend, and consumers haven't looked back. Acquisition of Briam, expanding into AI software and compilers. Who or what is Briam? Late in Q1 2024, AMD announced it would acquire Briam Incorporated for around $1.5 billion in a mix of cash and stock. If you haven't heard of Briam, you're not alone. It's one of those fast-moving startups in the Silicon Valley shadows. Key facts about Briam: core expertise, creating compiler tools and AI software frameworks optimized for modern hardware. This includes machine learning model compilers, AI inference engines, and performance-enhancing libraries. Talent pool: Briam's team includes ex-Google CPU compiler engineers, data scientists who auto-tune code for GPUs, and AI researchers with open-source contributions to projects like TensorFlow and PyTorch. Product walkthrough: think of Briam as making the brain code that tells a chip how to run AI models faster, use less power, and squeeze out extra performance. Their software is to a GPU what a race car's ECU, engine control unit, is to a V12, fine-tuning every spark, every injected drop of fuel, for maximum power and minimum waste. Why this acquisition matters for AMD? Whoever has the best software stack in AI and machine learning ends up selling more hardware, because large customers, hyperscalers, cloud providers, research labs, buy the whole solution, chips plus the software toolchain that makes them sing. AMD's primary competitor in this realm is NVIDIA, which boasts the CUDA ecosystem, a robust suite of compilers, libraries, and frameworks that have become the de facto standard for AI training and inference. By snapping up Briam, AMD gets proprietary AI compilers, tools that automatically optimize deep learning models for AMD GPUs and CPUs, potentially rivaling NVIDIA's CUDA and Intel's OneAPI. Performance tuning: software that can eke out up to 20 to 30% more throughput on the same chip, giving AMD a performance bump without pushing any electrons. Ecosystem access: by integrating Briam's code into the Radeon Open Compute (RCM) platform, AMD becomes more attractive to AI researchers, data scientists, and big cloud providers. Recruitment pipeline: the Briam team bolsters AMD's talent pool, making it easier to attract future compiler rockstars and AI specialists. AMD versus NVIDIA: can Team Red catch the green monster? NVIDIA's reign, CUDA and GPU dominance. NVIDIA has dominated the GPU market for years, especially in AI training and inference. Their CUDA ecosystem includes CUDNN, highly optimized primitives for deep neural networks; TensorRT, an inference optimizer and runtime for low latency, high throughput inference; CUDA Toolkit, everything from compilers to debugging tools. Because AI researchers learned on CUDA, they build models with NVIDIA hardware in mind. This generates a virtuous cycle: more researchers writing CUDA code, more frameworks prioritize CUDA, more enterprises buy NVIDIA GPUs. NVIDIA iterates faster, delivering ever better hardware. As of 2024, NVIDIA's market cap, $200 billion. Try picturing a gorilla with a monocle, NVIDIA, versus an agile fox, AMD, trying to steal bananas from the Monkey King's horde. It's an uphill battle, but steamrolling that gorilla could yield massive reward. AMD's path to challenging NVIDIA. Combining hardware and software is key. AMD has competitive silicon, RDNA/Arcturus GPUs, strong rasterization and gaming performance. CDNA 3, Instinct MI300 series AMD's most powerful AI/data center GPUs. While they match or exceed NVIDIA in raw throughput, they needed a killer software stack to unleash that potential. EPYC CPUs. Industries and cloud services increasingly adopt them for data centers, eroding Intel's once unshakable lead. Now with Brium under the hood, AMD can optimize AI training workloads. Through Brium's compilers, code can be auto-tuned for AMD's GPU architecture, potentially reducing training time for large language models by 10 to 20% versus NVIDIA hardware at the same price point. Inference efficiency. For companies deploying AI at scale, chatbots, recommendation engines, every millisecond of inference speed matters. Brium's tech can optimize latency, reducing data center costs. Heterogeneous computing. AMD's synergy between EPYC CPUs and Instinct GPUs can be exploited via Brium's toolchain, creating tightly integrated CPU/GPU workflows. Imagine AI pipelines where data moves seamlessly between AMD's CPU and GPU without costly data shuffling. The 500x future, a fantastical yet plausible roadmap? When someone says, AMD could 500x in the coming years, even outcompeting NVIDIA, you might think, sure, and I could become an astronaut by drinking juice and standing on a stack of oranges. But let's break down what a 500x increase entails and whether there's a method behind the madness. For context, $100 trillion is more than the GDP of every country combined. It's roughly 5 times Apple's current market cap, Apple $2 trillion, times 25. So the literal 500x is, on the face of it, hyperbole. But in startup land, people sometimes use 500x to mean massive upside possibility given the right conditions, not literally a 500-fold multiplier. Building blocks for a stratospheric surge. If we reframe the 500x mantra as unbelievably large upside if AMD's assets and software ecosystem perfectly align, the roadmap might look like this. Era of Zen overcapacity. Suppose AMD captures 50% of the GPU AI training market and 50% of the AI inference market, roughly what NVIDIA commands today. That alone could double AMD's GPU-driven revenues from $8 to $10 billion to $16 to $20 billion annually. CPU data center takeover. If AMD reaches 50% market share in data center CPUs, where Intel still dominates at 70%, that could add another $15 to $20 billion in annual revenue. Software and services monetization. Brium's technology allows AMD to offer subscription-based AI software, generating recurring revenue. Let's say $5 to $7 billion annually if major hyperscalers license it. If we fully obey the Lord, the Creator of heaven and earth, and carefully follow all His commandments, He has promised to set us high above all the nations of the earth. Deuteronomy 28. We shall be blessed when we come in and when we go out. I appeal to you to accept God and let Him be your guide, for He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. Deuteronomy 31 verse 8. Want more information? Please check the description section. That's the end for now. If you have watched until the end, drop a comment like this: I stayed until the end. Just comment that I stayed until the end. When I see this comment, I will give you a heart. 3 more favors I request from you. First, like this video, subscribe and then turn on the notifications bell. If you do this, you greatly encourage me to continue bringing to you insightful content. Do not miss out on our future videos full of insight. All I am asking is your subscription. Thanks for joining us today. Your support means so much to us. Do not hesitate to share this video to help someone who may benefit. I recommend that you watch the next video, subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts about today's video. Wish you God's blessings and care. Faith and prayer will do what no power on earth can accomplish. See you in the next video by God's mercy.